I talk to dying people every single day. They all say the same thing in their final hours. For 35 years, I've sat with people as they take their last breaths. And what they say will change how you live. The pattern I've noticed in 35 years as a funeral director, I've been in the room for over 1,000 deaths, maybe more. I stopped counting after the first decade. And here's something nobody talks about. Dying people become brutally honest. All the filters disappear. All the pretending stops. When you know you have hours or days left, you stop lying. You stop performing. You say what you actually think and feel. And I've heard it all. Confessions, regrets, apologies, love, declarations, anger, relief, fear, everything. But here's what shocked me. After hearing 1,000 people's final words, I started noticing a pattern. Different people, different backgrounds, different lives. But in those final hours, they all say remarkably similar things. And none of it is what society told them to care about. Not one dying person ever talked about their career achievements. Not one mentioned their salary. Not one bragged about the house they bought or the car they drove. In fact, the things we spend our entire lives chasing are completely absent from deathbed conversations. So what do they actually talk about? What consumes their thoughts when time runs out? I'm going to tell you, and I promise it will change your priorities. Regret number 1. I wish I had spent more time with people I love. This is the number one thing I hear every single day. Some version of this same regret. A 67-year-old executive, 2 days before he died, grabbed my hand and said, "I missed my daughter's childhood for conference calls that didn't matter. I can't get that back." A 54-year-old woman, hours before passing. "My mother died 5 years ago. I was too busy to visit her that last year. I'd give anything for one more conversation." A 71-year-old man, "I worked 70-hour weeks for 30 years. For what? My kids don't even know me. This breaks my heart every single time, because these people aren't stupid. They knew, logically, that relationships mattered. But they fell into the same trap we all fall into. They thought they had more time. They thought, I'll make it up to them later. After this project, after this promotion, after I retire. But later never came. And now they're dying, surrounded by the money they made and the success they achieved, and none of it means anything. Because the people they love are either gone or distant. I sat with a dying mother last year. Cancer, she had maybe 6 hours left. Her adult son was there, and she kept apologizing, over and over. "I'm sorry I worked so much. I'm sorry I missed your games. I'm sorry I chose my career over you." And he just held her hand and cried. And I thought, how many of us are making this same mistake right now? How many of us are choosing work over the people we love, telling ourselves we'll make time later? Because I've never, not once, heard a dying person say, "I wish I'd worked more." Not once. But I've heard hundreds say, "I wish I'd been there more." Regret number 2. I wish I'd had the courage to be myself. This one surprised me at first. But I hear it constantly. People who spent their entire lives performing, pretending, being who others expected them to be, instead of who they actually were. A 59-year-old man told me, "I wanted to be an artist. My father said that was stupid. So I became a lawyer. I hated every single day. And now I'm dying, and I never painted a single canvas." A 63-year-old woman, "I stayed in a marriage I hated for 40 years because I was afraid of what people would think. I wasted my entire life being miserable to avoid judgment." A 47-year-old man, dying of a heart attack. "I'm gay. I've known since I was 12. I never told anyone. I never lived as myself. What a waste. These conversations destroy me. because these people gave up their one chance at life to please people who didn't even care. They spent decades being someone else, and now it's too late to get those years back. And here's what kills me. The people they were trying to please. Most of them aren't even at the funeral. The judgmental relatives, the demanding parents, the critical friends. They move on with their lives, but the dying person, they're left with the regret of never being authentic, never being free. I think about how many people are living this way right now, staying in jobs they hate because it looks good, hiding who they really are because they're scared, following a path someone else chose for them. And one day, they'll be in this bed, dying, wishing they'd had the courage to just be themselves. Don't wait until you're dying to live authentically. Because I've seen that regret, and it's one of the most painful things to witness. Regret number 3. I wish I hadn't wasted so much time worrying. This one makes people laugh sometimes, even on their deathbed. Because when you're actually dying, you realize how absurd most of your worries were. A 72-year-old woman told me, "I spent 40 years worried about what my neighbors thought of my house. They don't even remember my address." A 60-year-old man, "I had crippling anxiety about my weight my entire life. I missed pool parties, beach trips, dancing at weddings. And now I'm dying. And none of that mattered." A 56-year-old woman with stage 4 cancer, "I worried about everything. Money, my appearance, my reputation, and lying here now, I realize I wasted thousands of hours on things that never even happened." When you're dying, perspective becomes crystal clear. All those things that felt massive and urgent and terrifying, they shrank down to nothing. That embarrassing thing you said 5 years ago that you still think about, doesn't matter. The promotion you didn't get, irrelevant. The argument you had on social media, completely meaningless. The weight you wanted to lose, nobody cares. But we spend our entire lives consumed by these worries. We let them control us. We make decisions based on fear instead of love. And the dying people I talk to, they all see it clearly now. They all realize they wasted so much life being afraid of things that never mattered. One man told me something I'll never forget. He said, "I was so worried about dying that I forgot to live. And now that I'm actually dying, I realize the worrying was the real death." That hit me hard. Because how many of us are doing that right now? Worrying about hypothetical futures instead of being present. Anxious about things we can't control. Afraid of judgments that don't even exist. Life's too short for that. And I know that sounds cliché, but I've literally watched thousands of lives end. And I'm telling you, the worrying is not worth it. What they do talk about, love and small moments. So if dying people don't talk about money or success or worries, what do they talk about? Love and small moments. That's it. That's what fills their final hours. A 76-year-old man dying of pneumonia spent his last 2 hours talking about his wife. Not their wedding day, not the big romantic gestures, the small stuff. How she made coffee every morning for 53 years. How she'd kiss his forehead when he was sick. How her hand felt in his. A 61-year-old mother talked about her children, the sound of their laughter, bedtime stories, teaching them to ride bikes, Sunday morning pancakes. A 83-year-old woman talked about her garden, how peaceful it made her feel. The smell of roses in June, watching butterflies. These tiny, simple, ordinary moments. That's what they remember. That's what they treasure. That's what made their lives feel full. Not the promotions. Not the possessions. Not the achievements. The ordinary moments filled with love. I had a man tell me, the best day of my life wasn't my wedding or the birth of my kids, though those were incredible. It was a random Tuesday afternoon when I was 47. I came home early from work. My wife was in the kitchen, We dance to the radio for 10 minutes. No reason, just because. I think about that moment constantly. That was heaven. And I realized heaven isn't some far-off destination. Heaven is dancing in your kitchen with someone you love on a random Tuesday. Heaven is small moments you're fully present for. But we're so busy chasing big achievements that we miss the small moments that actually matter. We're so focused on the future that we're not even here for the present. And then we die, and we realize we missed it all. The hardest truth, I love you, here's the phrase I hear most in people's final hours. I love you, they say it to everyone. Their spouse, their kids, their siblings, their friends. Over and over, desperately, like they're trying to make up for all the times they didn't say it. And sometimes, it's too late. I've watched people die waiting for someone to show up so they could say it one last time. And that person never came. I've seen children show up 30 minutes after their parent died, breaking down because they never got to say goodbye. Never got to say, I love you, one more time. I've watched estranged family members reconcile in hospital rooms, crying, apologizing, saying all the things they should have said years ago. And it's beautiful, but it's also tragic. Because they had years, decades, and they wasted all that time on pride and grudges and stupid arguments. Here's what I need you to understand. I love you costs nothing. It takes 3 seconds, and it might be the last thing you ever say to someone. So why are we so stingy with it? Why do we wait? Why do we assume there will be more time? Because there might not be. I've seen people die suddenly. Heart attacks, accidents, strokes. 1 minute they're alive, the next they're gone. And their families are left with all the unsaid I love yous, all the unfinished conversations, all the regrets. Don't let that be you. Tell people you love them. Today, right now, stop reading this and text someone you love. Call your mum, hug your kids, tell your partner, because one day, one of you will be dying. And you'll wish you'd said it more. I see that regret every single day. Don't become another person I watch die wishing they'd been more open with their love. Final message. You're dying to hear's the truth nobody wants to hear, but everyone needs to understand. You're dying too, not someday, right now. Every second that passes is a second you'll never get back. Every day you waste is a day closer to the end. And when that end comes, and I promise you, it's coming, you'll be lying in a bed just like the people I talk to every day. And you'll have regrets, or you won't. You'll wish you'd lived differently, or you'll die at peace. The choice is entirely up to you. But make it now. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Now, because the dying people I talk to, they all wish they'd started living sooner. They all wish they'd prioritized love over work, authenticity over approval, presence over worry. They all wish they'd said, I love you more. And they're telling me this because it's too late for them. But it's not too late for you. So what are you going to do? Are you going to keep living like you have unlimited time? Or are you going to start living like you're dying? Because you are. We all are. The only question is, will you die with regrets, or will you die at peace?